All right, so now looking at section 6.4, so we're back on page 48. We want to talk about composition of functions. In many cases, we can create a new function by taking the composition of two functions. For example, suppose f of x equals the square root of x and g of x equals x cubed plus 1. If we evaluate for f of x for when x equals g of x, this will give us a new function. So I'll replace g of x by the x cubed plus 1. That'll give me the, oh, that's supposed to be square root. I don't know where the cube root came from. My bad on that. Let's cross those out. So that would be the square root of x cubed plus 1, which is the square root of x cubed plus 1. This new function is called the composition of f and g, or we can say it is f composed g. The innermost function g, the x cubed plus 1, acts on x first, cubing x and then adding 1. The output of the innermost function becomes the input or domain element of the outermost function, f. Then the outermost function acts on that input, take the square root. So suppose we wanted to find f of g of 2. The innermost function would be cube 2 and then add 1. That would give us 9. Then the outermost function would take the square root of that answer. Square root of 9 is 3. Thus, f of g of 2 equals 3. Now, kind of a more concrete way to think of this is when you're doing composition, think about when you do laundry. Think of g here, your innermost function, as your washing machine. You take dry, dirty clothes and you put them into G. You put them in the washer. The washer, washes them, and its output is clean, wet clothes. So that's like how we got 9. There's our clean, wet clothes. I then take those clean, wet clothes, I put them in the dryer. That's the outermost function. That's my F. And then what the dryer does, its output is dry, clean clothes. So here's more of a forward definition. The composition of f and g, or f composed g, denoted f, looks like a little O or circle here, so it's not the word fog, it's just mean composition. It's denoted by f composed g of x is f of g of x, provided that g of x is the domain of f. So, and similarly, the composition of g of f, or g composed f, denoted by g composed f, is defined by g composed f of x is g of f of x, provided that f of x is in the domain of g. Now, very careful. If I switch the order here when I'm doing composition, they're not always equal. So let's go back to our workbook. So we were going to page 50. And we're going to do some composition. So we got these two functions. And I want to find f composed g of 2. So here, f is my outside function, g is my inside function. So f is my dryer, g is my washing machine. So I have to wash the clothes first. I need to find g of 2 first. So I'm going to go to my scratch paper, and I'm going to evaluate g of 2. And you can do this by hand or on a calculator. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14. And now that output, there's my clean, wet clothes. I'll plug in the 14. That I now plug into F. So in F, I replace x by 14. And let's see. I think we want to use a calculator on that one. So let's grab this. I'm going to do 14 squared minus 3 parentheses 14 plus 1. So that'd be 155. Now, for those that don't like doing laundry, you can also think of cooking. You can think of 2 as your ingredients for making a cake. Think of your innermost function as your mixer, and think of F as your outermost function as the oven. So here I put the ingredients into the bowl and I mix it up, and this is what the batter that comes out of the mixer. I take that batter, put it in a pan, and cook it in my oven. Now here my functions are in reverse order, so it means now G is the outside function, F is the inside function. So now F is my washer, G is my dryer, or F is my mixer, G is my oven, however you want to think about it. So again, I'm going to go off to the side here to my scratch paper. I want to first figure out what F of negative 3 is. So I'm going to plug that in. I think we did that earlier in the previous part. And I believe that gives us 19. You can double check me on the calculator. So now, here are my clean, wet clothes, or here's my batter, whichever analogy you want to go with. And now I'm going to plug in. Plug that 19 into G. So G says I'm going to take 5 times 19 and add 4. Well, 5 times 19 is 95, plus 4 is 99. So our answer would be 99. All right, let's try some more of these. So we have some more compositions. So I'm doing F compose G of negative 2. So F is my outside function. G is my inside function. So again, I want to go through and I want to evaluate on my scratch paper G of negative 2. Now we run into a problem here because this is negative 10 plus 5. This is the square root of negative 5. Well, I'm stuck here. This is undefined in the real numbers. And, it's not like I can go over here and take f of undefined. That doesn't make any sense. Because we can only evaluate this when this x value is in the domain of the inside function. And that's not up here. So for this problem, we're just going to have to write the word undefined. We cannot do this. Let's see if we have any better luck on part B. So this time, G is the outside function. F is the inside function. So I'll go over to my scratch paper. SP stands for scratch paper, by the way. And we're going to work this out. I'm going to work out f of negative 5. So this would be, looking back over here, this would be 5 times negative 5 squared minus 1. And that should work out to be 124. So now I'm going to plug in. So this would be the square root of 5 times 124 plus 5. I think I'm going to use a calculator on that one. A little too early in the morning here when I'm recording this for me to do it by hand. That's 25. So this must be 625 then. And then you get 25 when you take the square root. All right, let's try number 12. So here f's the outside function, g is the inside function. Okay, so going off to the side here to my scratch paper. We're doing g of 9. That's 2 times 9 minus 8. So that is the absolute value of 18 minus 8. That's the absolute value of 10, which is 10. And so now I'm going to take that and plug that into f. So that's going to be 3 over x. Oops, my bad. Be 3 over 10 minus 4. That's 3 over 6. That reduces to 1/2. Or for your fans of decimals, that'd be 0.5. Just when you're doing this in ALEKS, make sure you check to see which form they want. Do they want the decimal or the fraction? This should be in the directions. And let's try this one over here. So now g is my outside function. Trying to find f of 6. So I'm going to go to my scratch paper. F of 6, we're going to plug in. 3 over 6 minus 4. It's 3 over 2. I guess I'll just leave it 3 over 2. So now we're going to plug in that 3 over 2 over here. And I need to plug that into my g function. So that is the absolute value of 2 times 3 over 2 minus 8. And this is an absolute value symbol here. So the 2's are going to cancel. 3 minus 8 is 5, so this is the absolute value negative 5, which would be positive 5. So that would be our answer.